What is up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Diego and I'm an incoming medical student in London. Today I'm going to be sharing a few tips on how to approach the GAMSAT. So some of you may be 1 month away, 2 months away, or maybe more months away from sitting your exam, the GAMSAT exam. So as we know, there are 2 sitting dates in March and September. And so I thought I would make this video to summarize some of the key tips / lessons that I've learned from sitting the exam 3 times. So if this is something that sounds like would be interesting to you, stick around and hopefully this will be of value for you. Alright? Alright guys, so let's get into the video. I sat the GAMSAT for a total of 3 times. Yes, 3 times. It was not enjoyable. It was not the plan to sit the exam 3 times, but I sat it 3 times nonetheless. And throughout this whole period of nearly 3 years of basically preparing and sitting for the exam, I learned a couple of things. So I just wanted to share those with you, and hopefully they will be of use. And hopefully they will also serve as perhaps a prompt for you to leave some comments below on any particular point that you want me to go into more in depth. And then if you want me to expand on them, then I will in a separate video if that's what you want. Alright, so the first tip I have for you is you need to plan effectively. And so what this means is that you need to have a solid plan that reflects your ability, reflects your knowledge of the exam, your knowledge of the domains of the exam, and also the time that you have left to sit the exam. Planning effectively is obviously important in any exam, but with the GAMSAT it's important because most people, because it's a graduate exam, you'll probably already have other commitments like work, full-time work, part-time work. You may be married like I was, or like I am, sorry. You may be married, you may be a parent, you may be a guardian, you may have so many other things that are going to be very much consuming, time consuming in your life. Obviously they're blessings, but they obviously will be time consuming to an extent. And so you need to plan effectively around these things. You might even be studying as well, a master's course like I was. And so you need to plan, you need to be effective in your planning, which means knowing when you can study and knowing how much you can study and knowing what you want to study. So if, for example, you've only got 1 hour every 2 days to study, then fine, stick to that, rather than blocking out 3 or 4 or 5 hours on a day that you know you're probably not going to be able to do. If you don't do it, then you'll feel bad about yourself and then you'll lose motivation to actually carry on. And it's very important because it will dictate the momentum you have, it will dictate how fast you will learn and pick things up, and ultimately will have an effect on your exam results, which is obviously the fundamental thing here, right? We want to be scoring high. So first of all, plan effectively. The second thing is focusing on the high yield stuff. So I know that when I first started preparing for the GAMSAT, I was looking for everything. I was looking for all of the information related to physics, chemistry, biology, and just trying to memorize it all, not knowing first of all that the exam isn't about memorizing. It's about critical thinking, it's about reasoning, it's about knowing how to use the knowledge you have, the skills that you have to interpret what's being said in the question stem and come up with an answer. So it's not as straightforward an exam in terms of memorizing something and just regurgitating. You need to focus on the stuff that is high yield, and you need to know how to use it. So stuff that can be high yield will, for example, be organic chemistry, some areas of organic chemistry, some areas of inorganic chemistry, some areas like formulas in physics, not all of them, but some of them, and you need to know how they relate to a particular question. You need to be able to manipulate those equations. Another thing, numerical skills, actually being able to manipulate and rearrange equations, being able to convert from fractions to percentages comfortably, being able to read graphs comfortably and being able to be confident in how you read these graphs and any sort of mathematical manipulation that you need to do is important, because like I said, it will most likely not be the case that it's your knowledge that will save you in the exam. It will be sort of an amalgamation of knowledge and skills. And so yeah, so this would be high yield stuff. How would you focus on it? Well, you don't want to do what I did at the beginning, which was spend hours and hours reviewing chapters of organic chemistry, reactions, knowing them off by heart, memorizing them, when it's just not going to come up, and it never came up for me, and it was a waste of time. Rather, what I did is that I looked at so I Google searched, well-known syllabuses to cover for the exam. It's obviously not going to be 100% accurate all the time, because sometimes it's just hearsay of what people remember that has come up. And I looked into these areas, these subject areas. First of all, I would sort of briefly look into them, make some notes, I'd realise where sort of my knowledge gaps were, and then I tried some practice questions just to have a look of what the gap was in terms of what the question was asking me to do with this knowledge I had, and what the knowledge I had was, and how I could transfer this into a particular answer that I needed. So that was something that I did in my second and third sitting, and I definitely saw my score increase a lot. So focus on the high yield stuff. If you don't know what the high yield stuff is, leave a comment. I can let you know based on my experience. I've got other videos on my channel as well where I go into this a bit more into depth. But then you can also go into the student room, go to Reddit, go to GAMSAT pages, Google, and just search high yield syllabus for the GAMSAT, and I'm sure you'll find it. So that's something that I would say that would be my second tip. And finally, my third and final tip, which is really important. It's not at the end because it's not important, it's just at the end because it's at the end. But the third tip is, do not compromise your mental health for this exam. It can be really, really easy to fall behind on sort of upholding your mental health and treating yourself, on doing the things that make you happy when you're busy with so many commitments outside, that are part of your life, like work and all of the things that I mentioned before. And then you add this exam, and then you add the pressure of doing well, and then you also add the pressure of what happens if you don't do well. It means another year that you can't study towards your goal, you can't study medical school, and all of these extra pressures just sort of bunch up, and it can really, really have a toll on your mental health. So I would say, do not compromise your mental health. Study effectively, study efficiently, set out hours that you can study, 1 hour, 2 hours, it doesn't matter as long as you're doing it consistently. But also be as diligent in planning things that are good for you, like working out, going to the gym, spending time with your loved ones, with your friends, doing things that add to your life. And so it's important to know that yes, the GAMSAT is important. The GAMSAT does, in some cases, obviously define how well you will do in terms of securing a place at medical school, but your mental health is also important. It's fundamental, and it's probably more important really than how well you do on the exam. You need to focus, because those are your tools. Your mental health is a key tool in you being able to do your job properly, and you being able to score highly on the exam. And then once you go to medical school, being in that routine of doing well, studying hard, yet not compromising your mental health will be important. And so these are just a few things that I've learned that I think are very valuable, and hopefully you find them valuable and they will add to your life when you are preparing for this exam. If you have any questions, anything you want me to expand on further, or any other area of the exam that you have questions about, leave them in the comment section. It's likely that I may have already covered them because I've done quite a lot of videos on the GAMSAT. But anyway, if you do have these questions, leave them in the comment section below. I'm always happy to answer them. And yeah, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, like, comment and subscribe. You can follow me on my socials, which will be somewhere here, maybe here or here. It'll be somewhere there. You know, you can, my DM's always open. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.